No one could believe it. Did someone hurt him? Did he fall? Or was it something even more sudden? Something no one saw coming. How could a man like Nick Mangold, still strong, still vibrant, still full of life, be gone so soon? At just 41, when many believed his best years were still ahead, his laughter, his presence, his spirit, suddenly silenced. The news broke just before Sunday's game. Former New York Jets center Nick Mangold, two-time All-Pro, seven-time Pro Bowler, was gone. The same man whose power and precision defined the Jets' offensive line for more than a decade. His entire 11-season career had been spent with the Jets, and he had become not just a player, but a symbol, a member of the team's Ring of Honor, one of 52 modern-era candidates for enshrinement in the Hall of Fame next year. The timing made it even more surreal. As the crowd gathered for kickoff, the announcement spread. Whispers first, then gasps. Mangold had passed away suddenly. It didn't make sense. Only weeks earlier, there had been reports that he needed a kidney transplant, but there was hope, optimism. No one expected this. And for those who knew him personally, the loss hit even harder. A former player reflecting on air said, his voice breaking, "It's just one of those things where your brain doesn't want to accept it." He remembered Mangold not only as a competitor but as a friend, someone he saw every season at coin tosses, someone who stayed in New Jersey even after retirement, volunteering and mentoring young athletes. "I saw him just this summer," he said softly. "At a high school scrimmage. The kids loved him. Everyone who met him said, 'Man, Nick Mangold is an awesome dude.'" And then, Sunday morning, to hear this, it just crushed me. For many players of that era, Mangold's death felt personal. "I'm 38, another said. "I think of guys like Doug Martin, Arthur Jones, my draft class, my brothers on the field. And now Nick. We spent our lives competing, shaking hands after games, sharing stories. And to see them gone so soon, it's heartbreaking." He paused, his voice heavy with emotion. "People forget. After football, you're just a normal guy. Nick was a husband, a father of 4. I keep thinking about them now. About how everyone will tell his kids how great their dad was, but they won't get to grow up with him. That's the hardest part." The studio fell silent for a moment. It wasn't just about football anymore. It was about life, fragility, and the quiet pain that comes after the cheering stops. "Life is short," he continued. "You hear people say it all the time, but it hits different now. We gave everything to this game. The pain, the injuries, the broken ribs, and you think you're invincible. But then something like this happens, and you realize how fragile it all really is." Nick Mangold's death became more than a headline. It became a mirror for an entire generation of athletes who had devoted their lives to the sport. And we're now left wondering what comes after. There was a moving article in The Athletic the week before, written by Gerald McCoy, now with NFL Network. He reflected on how hard it is for former players to watch so many of their peers, their friends, die young. McCoy described the transition out of football as one of the toughest emotional challenges anyone can face. "When you've played this game since you were a kid," he wrote, "it's not just what you do, it's who you are. And then one day, it's over. You're no longer a part of the machine." That metaphor struck many. He compared the NFL to a machine that just keeps rolling. "They take one piece out," he said, "and replace it with another. The piece that's gone gets forgotten, and the machine keeps moving." It's harsh, but true. Football never stops. Even in seasons when legends like Tom Brady or Ben Roethlisberger went down with season-ending injuries, the game continued. The fans cheered, the teams played on, and the men who gave their bodies and souls to the sport, they quietly faded into the background. Nick Mangold's story now stands as a haunting reminder of that reality. Reports confirmed that Mangold had been struggling with kidney issues and was in need of a transplant. But no one expected it to end this way, this fast. He'd always been strong, a wall on the field, a leader off it. For many fans, his legacy goes beyond statistics. They remember his grit, his humor, and his loyalty to the Jets. In an age where players often moved from team to team, Mangold stayed. He was, in every sense, the heart of that line. the anchor who never broke. One former teammate said, "He was the kind of guy who made you better just by being around him. He'd walk into the locker room, crack a joke, lift your mood. He was a rock, dependable, tough, and kind. But even rocks can fall." The sadness surrounding his passing isn't just about the loss of a player. It's about the loss of a human being who had so much more life ahead. As one broadcaster noted, the players are more anonymous in football than any other sport. They wear helmets. You don't see their faces. But inside those helmets are human beings. Men who hurt, who love, who give everything to a game that sometimes forgets them. That truth echoed through the entire football community this week. Mangold's death has reignited a painful conversation about the physical and emotional toll of the game, and the quiet battles many retired players face. The broken bones heal, the scars fade. But the transition, the shift from living in the roar of stadiums to the silence of everyday life, is something far deeper. One player put it simply, "I played football for 25 years. I'm 38 now. That's most of my life. When it ends, it's hard to replace that feeling. You miss it, the purpose, the routine, the brotherhood, but you have to move on." And moving on, for many, is the hardest part. Some former players have begun forming support groups to help each other through that journey, emotionally, mentally, even financially. "We need to stick together," one said, "to remind each other that we still matter, that we're still brothers, even after the helmets come off." The idea of brotherhood, of standing together beyond the field, feels especially important now. Because the game may move on, but those who shared it never forget. Nick Mangold's story is one that no fan or player will easily forget either. His strength, his laughter, his leadership, and now his loss, have left an emptiness that can't be replaced. As one veteran broadcaster summed up near the end of the tribute, "Football is temporary. Life after football, that's your life's real work." And Nick was just beginning that next chapter. And perhaps that's what makes this so hard to accept, because for a man like Nick Mangold, a warrior, a mentor, a father, it feels like his story wasn't supposed to end here. Not yet. Not like this.